jail with Bubba in your bed.
Alright, so this is to all you young studs out there. That's you, and take that feckin' smile off your dial, this is so not funny. Listen up, boyos, cause if you get this wrong, you will be attending a new module, Rape 101 in Mountjoy Prison. So the magic word is consent. C-O-N-S-E-N-T. That's it, repeat after me. Consent. What do we mean by consent? Well, consent has three parts to it. The first part is capacity. What that means is that you are able to do what is being asked of you, but you are also able to understand the consequences of what you are being asked to do. So if you're wasted on drugs or alcohol, or if one of you scumbags put roofies in their drink, then they are not able to think straight, so no capacity, no consent. That equals rape. The second part is disclosure. What that means is that you need to work on your bullshit chat-up lines. If you say something that's a lie just to get them into the sack, or if you forget to tell them something like that STD you've been carrying around, then again, no consent, only rape. The third part is voluntariness. That means doing something of your own free will. You are having sex because you both want it, not because you are being forced to submit. When we force someone to do something they don't want to do, that is called duress, which is the opposite of voluntary, and so that is rape. So that is the definitions done. If one or more of those three parts is missing, there is no consent, which means there is only rape. Now let's talk about the law. Criminal law is dark and nasty. It's all about punishment and retribution, which is a nice word for revenge and suffering. If you get done for rape, then by Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, are you going to suffer? So the law that puts scumbags behind bars for rape is the Criminal Law Rape Amendment Act of 1990, and Section 9 defines consent. Shout out if you notice anything familiar. Quick check. Can you identify the three parts that make up consent? Let's look at Section 9. Section 9(1) says, a person consents to a sexual act if he or she freely and voluntarily agrees to engage in that act. So repeat after me. Freely and voluntarily agrees. Good. And again, freely and voluntarily agrees. So that is the positive spin on consent. All good and lovely as it should be. What? You thought that was it? Oh, no. Section 9 is only getting warmed up. Section 9, 2, reminds us of the situation when things are not good. Feckin' awful, actually. This is where rape rears its very ugly head. So I take it you can read, but if you can't, listen very carefully. Section 9(2)(a) says that a person does not consent to a sexual act if he or she permits the act to take place or submits to it because of the application of force to him or her or to some other person, or because of the threat of the application of force to him or her or to some other person, or because of a well-founded fear that force may be applied to him or her or to some other person. Do I need to spell that out? If you take away a person's free will through violence or threats of violence, either to your victim or to somebody else to force your victim to have sex, that is rape. Again, I hear you say, ah, Jesus, I knew that already. I don't need to use violence to get someone to go with me. Well, Section 9 is not done with you yet. There's more. But, I hear you say, does it not end with the violence thing? No, there doesn't have to be violence for it to be rape. The law is not bothered to know why you did not get consent. What is important is that there was no consent, and so off to jail you go. That is why I told you to concentrate on the meaning of consent and those three parts that make it up. When I said consent is everything, I meant it. No consent means rape. But let's get one thing into that thick head of yours. Rape is not a sexual act. It is an act of violation, and therefore it is an act of violence, even where there is no physical violence or threat. Section 9(2) makes that very clear by giving us other situations where manifest force or violence is not mentioned, but it is still rape. A person does not consent to a sexual act if he or she is asleep or unconscious. So, your party trick of crawling into the bed of a sleeping person and raping her before she wakes up, and then telling her that she was gagging for it? That's a one-way ticket to Mountjoy and a cellmate who will copy your party trick, except he won't bother to defend his actions. Because he won't speak, he'll just make animal grunts. A person does not consent to a sexual act if he or she is incapable of consenting because of the effect of alcohol or some other drug. So what if she had too much to drink? That is not an open invitation to rape her. Do you get raped every time you're scuttered? Rather get her to a place of safety or call her friends over to take her home. And as for the dirtbags who drug somebody's drink and then rape them, well, I would just take you around the corner and shoot you, but sadly that's not allowed anymore. A person does not consent to a sexual act if he or she is suffering from a physical disability which prevents him or her from communicating whether he or she agrees to the act. If this applies to you, then you are a very sick individual. Taking advantage of somebody's physical or mental disability just to get your rocks off is pure filth, and they should just lock you up and throw away the key. If that disability prevents them from giving consent because they do not have the capacity to do so, just leave them alone. There's a lot more under Section 9 too, but just to summarize. There is no consent if the other person does not realize you are asking them to have sex. There is no consent if he or she thinks you are somebody else. There is no consent if he or she is your prisoner. There is no consent if somebody else says yes on their behalf. Section 9(3) says that if the situation you find yourself in is not mentioned in Section 9, that does not necessarily mean there is consent. You need to go back to those three important parts and check that they all exist. Consent to a sexual act may be withdrawn at any time before the act begins, or in the case of a continuing act, while the act is taking place. Consent can be withdrawn mid-thrust. If consent is withdrawn, something else must be withdrawn too. Yes, you idiot, I'm talking about that thing. You ask, what if I'm just about to reach my happy place? The defense of the point of no return is a myth. It does not exist. It was invented by some sicko who hopefully spent the rest of his life in a cell. When someone says no, you stop immediately. And no always means no. Any failure or omission on the part of a person to offer resistance to an act does not of itself constitute consent to that act. Again, she never put up a fight is not a defense. Similarly, if you say, silence means consent. No, it does not. Silence is just silence. Nothing more, nothing less. And if she's looking at your ugly mug, it probably means she's terrified. Consent does not work as a negative concept or in a vacuum. No means no, but if there is no loud and clear yes, that also means no. Here's something for you to remember. It's short and simple, so you should get it. Maybe your next tattoo? No does not require explanation, justification, apology, or permission. Remember that, and stay out of jail.